Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Zulaikha, and today I want to summarize about chapter 9 and 10, Community Ecology, and a research paper that I choose. In this chapter, we have 7 types of interaction, which is number 1, competition. Competition is the two species fight over the same limited source, and this is the negative interaction. Number 2, we have herbivore, one organism that eats all part or certain part of a plant species, and this is natural interaction. Number 3, we have predation, which is one species eat all part of the second species of animal, and this is also neutral interaction. Then we have parasitism, which is one organism live on or inside the other organism, and this is also parts of neutral interaction. Then we have cannibalism. This is an act which of consuming other individual of the same species as a food, and this is negative interaction. Then we have mutualism, which is between two or more species, where the species have a net benefit, and this is a positive interaction. And lastly, we have diseases, which is the pathogenic microbe with the which is involved between the pathogenic microbe with other organism, and this is also natural interaction. For competition, there are 3 types of competition. Number 1 is resource or exploitative, which is it requires to share the limited resource. Number 2 is diffuse. Diffuse is the native species in the community compete among themselves. And number 3 is interference. Interference which occur directly between the individual via aggression. And the competition have 3 modes. Number 1 is interferences, number 2 is intraspecific, and number 3 is interspecific. Here we have the Lotka-Vetra model. This model is to show the dynamic of ecological system in which 2 species interact, which one is predator and the other one is prey. Now I will talk about 6 defense mechanisms. Number 1, we have chemical defense. Number 2, we have coloration defense. Number 3, we have mimicry. Number 4, we have armor and weapon. Number 5, we have alarm call, and lastly we have predator citation. As for chemical defense, number 1, we have venom and ferrum to avoid the predator or catch the prey, and we have snake as example. Number 2, we have secretion, which take out the secretion to repel the predator. We have arthropod, amphibians, and reptiles. And lastly, we have odor and toxic secondary substance, which produce the secretion that discourage the predation. And for example, we have skunk. For the coloration defense, also have 3 types. Number 1 is warning coloration, the toxic animal that have warning color like bees or poison dart frog. Number 2, we have cryptic coloration, the coloration that make the animal difficult to distinguish against their backgrounds like stick insect, iguana, or owls. And we have also flashing coloration, which a type of protective coloration in which the prey is cryptic when they are rest and reveal their brilliant color when they are escaping. And this type of flashing coloration is for the butterfly and birds. Then we have mimicry. Mimicry have 2 types, Bastian and Mullerian. Bastian is the harmless species imitate the warning signal of the harmful species, while the Mullerian is two or more species of harmful mimicking each other warning signal. The armor is the protective armor that helps to protect the animals from the teeth and the claw of the predator, and usually it have a hard cover like turtle, clams, beetles. And we have weapons that sharp and painful thorns like Hagos. We also have alarm call, that the form of signal emitted by the social animals in response to danger, and it attracts more specific for the cooperative defense. And the last one is the predator citation. It's usually for the high population density, and it used to reducing the probability of an individual organism being eaten. As for the research paper, I choose the frequency-dependent shape, the adaptive landscape of imperfect bestial mimicry. This research is to investigate the frequency-dependent dynamic of imperfect bestial mimicry using the predation experiment. And this involves the alpha butterfly, which is the model is the alpha infidus, and the mimic bestial is the alpha surfa. This research have three objectives. First is to examine the efficacy of the imprecise bestial mimicry. Number two is to test the frequency-dependent selection in the mimicry alpha. And number three, to examine the predation rate on the pre-assumed unpalatable rubique feeding model. And this research conducted at Costa Rica and Ecuador. Here are the results on the predation on locally convergent phenotype. As at Costa Rica, the result reveals statistically significant difference between the two phenotypes, and where the A. aphelis is higher survivorship than A. cerfa. While at the Edacor, the result demonstrate that there is no statistically significant difference in survival between the two species, the two phenotypes, and this indicating that the avian predator target both species equally. And as conclusion, the statistical power have no bearing on the outcome of the finding based on the both field site. So here the result number 2 on the variation in butterfly abundance between field location. As we can see in the table, the following are the observation of A. aphelis model and the A. cerfa, the mimicry, that have measured the number of A. aphelis recorded the highest number at 36 and 84 respectively in Costa Rica and Ecuador, and this number exceeds the number of A. cerfa present in the both places. Nevertheless, the differences in the appearance of the two species in Costa Rica did not show significant result compared to the Ecuador. Here I summarize the discussion. The research found that in Costa Rica, where the location abundance of the A. aphelis and A. cerfa are similar, avian predator avoided A. aphelis and attacked A. cerfa, contrary to the result in the Costa Rica location. And in the support of the hypothesis for frequency dependent mimicry, the result found from the Ecuador indicated that A. cerfa gains protection from the predator by sharing a convergent phenotype with the highly abundant and preassumptively toxic model A. infidus. Below, they consider the result in light of the prior work on the frequency-dependent selection and imperfect mimicry with the caveat of replicating in this study in the other location would be useful, and the other source of variation such as predator community differences, seasonal variation, or ecological correlate may be relevant. And with many studies, however, have found the result consistent with the prediction of the relaxed selection, which seem to most highly explain the imperfect mimicry in endocrine alpha, influence of the prey availability and the seasonality on the predator behavior. And in addition to the frequency dependence dynamic of the relative mimicry perfection, other important factors may contribute to a predator decision to attack the mimicry prey in a given geographical location. As As I can conclude, bird predator decision to avoid or attack a butterfly that phenotypically resemble a not profitable species is influenced by the variety of circumference. Even the flow successful Bastian mimicry depends on the relative frequency on the undesirable model and the desirable mimicry. On the result utilizing two distinct videographic locations show that the imperfect Bastian mimic are protected by the matching and the model phenotypes when the model is much more plentiful than the mimic, while the protection breakdown as mimic become the more prevalent. That's all from me. Thank you.